All right, let's dive into one of the biggest mysteries in the paranormal world. And we're going to do it through a single, honestly terrifying real-life story. The question is simple: why do supernatural entities always seem to have a nest?
You've heard it a million times, right? In every ghost story, there's that one spot, the basement, the attic, that one bedroom at the end of the hall that just feels wrong. It's the epicenter of everything. Investigators call them nests or focal points, but why? Seriously, why would a spirit pick one little corner of a brand new building and decide, yep, this is my spot?
Well, we might just have an answer, and it comes from a place you'd never expect, the Hiyar garage in Abu Dhabi. This case is incredible because it gives us a chilling look into the why behind these focal points, and it all centers on, of all things, a simple room used to store car parts.
So, picture this. It's December 2020. A brand new, state-of-the-art garage has just been built way out in a pretty secluded area. It's supposed to be a fresh start. But for the two guys living on site, Sadiq and Bilal, it turned into the beginning of an encounter with something they just could not explain.
And listen, this wasn't some slow burn haunting. Things went from 0 to 100 real fast. We're talking about just 2 weeks. It started with this mysterious knocking, always at the exact same time, 12:45 a.m. Then came a face-to-face encounter, and it all ended with something so unbelievable they actually caught it on camera.
And who, or maybe what, did they see? A woman, but she was impossibly tall, somewhere between 6 and 7 feet. They said she had this unreal kind of beauty, and she was dressed completely in black. But here's the creepy part. She wasn't lost, she wasn't asking for directions, she was insisting that her children were inside the locked garage, and she wanted them back.
Now the workers, Sadiq and Bilal, they had a very specific word for what they were seeing, makhluk. It basically means a creature, something not from our world. So in their minds, this wasn't just a ghost, it was something else entirely.
Okay, so after days of her showing up and demanding to get to her kids, the workers finally just gave in and let her inside to look. And what she did next was the first huge clue that one particular room was the absolute center of this whole thing.
Get this, she didn't search the main garage, she didn't look around the work areas. She walked with this eerie purpose straight to one single room in the entire building, the spare parts room. That specific, targeted movement was the first sign that this room was incredibly important.
The guys just stood there and watched as she went into the room and then came back out. And she was acting out the motion of dragging 2 naughty kids by their ears. Her hands were positioned perfectly, but there was nothing there. She was just holding thin air. From her point of view, though, she was gathering up her family.
And this is the question, isn't it? Why this room? Why would some otherworldly being be completely obsessed with a storage closet full of engines and tires? It just doesn't make any logical sense to us. But we're about to see the proof that, to her, the logic was flawless.
It all comes to a head on the 10th night. This is when something happened that was so impossible, so completely against the laws of physics that the garage's own security cameras captured it.
The workers were, completely terrified by this point, so they had made absolutely sure the spare parts room was locked up tight. We're talking a solid door, a real physical barrier. No person was getting in or out of there without a key. This is a super important detail for what comes next.
But according to the story, this woman, well, she didn't need a key, she didn't kick the door down, she just reached her hand right through the solid, locked door as if it were made of smoke.
And here is the proof. The garage owner, the Arbab, he went back later and reviewed the security footage, and he saw it with his own 2 eyes. A heavy steering wheel from inside that locked room just lifts off a shelf, floats about 1 to 2 feet in the air, and moves through the gate like somebody invisible was carrying it.
So how is any of this possible? How can a dusty room for car parts become the center of such intense reality-bending activity? The answer, it turns out, lies in one single concept that completely reframes this entire story. The key to this whole mystery is a word: basera. In the paranormal beliefs of the region, a basera is the original home of a supernatural entity. It's their land. It's the place that belonged to them long before any humans showed up.
You see the shift? For Sadiq and Bilal, it was a brand new spare parts room, but from the entity's perspective, they were standing right in the middle of her living room. The garage had been built directly on top of her basera, her home. They weren't being haunted, they were the ones doing the trespassing.
And that explains everything. The focal point, the nest, it's not about the physical room at all. It's about the piece of land it sits on. The walls, the doors, the shelves, all of that is meaningless to an entity whose claim to that specific spot of Earth predates the entire building. That's why she could walk through a door. To her, it wasn't even there.
So where does a story like this go? I mean, when one side finally realizes they're not just in a haunted building, they're actually trespassing in someone else's home, what do you even do?
Well, the owner, the Arbab, after he saw that footage and understood what was really happening, he made a pretty shocking decision. He didn't call a priest or an exorcist. He didn't try to fight it. He basically acknowledged they were in the wrong, and he shut down the entire brand new business. He just abandoned it.
The takeaway here is just so powerful. The paranormal activity stopped the moment the humans left the territory. It really suggests that a focal point, a nest, isn't just some random cold spot. It's a place with a history, a place with a prior claim. It was a basera long before it was ever our bedroom or our storage closet.
And that kind of leaves us with one last pretty unsettling question. Think about it. That room in your house, the one you might avoid, the one that always feels a little bit colder than the rest? What if it's not actually an empty room? What if it's just a space that was already taken, long before you ever moved in?